Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining today's Hackett webcast, Digital Technology in Action and How Tradeshift is Changing AP at Copenhagen Airport. We'll get started today with some housekeeping items and introductions. First and foremost, all lines have been muted to ensure call quality. If you have any questions or need any technical support, you can reach out to me, the host, using the chat or the Q&A features on the right-hand side of the screen. We'll keep an eye out on that chat box for any questions and bring them up at the end of the presentation. We are recording this session and will email out the presentation as well as the presentation deck along with the recording once the event has ended. The presentation will also be posted on Hackett's Member Center portal. This webcast is also eligible for continuing professional education credit. To receive CPE credits, you must be on the line for at least 50 minutes, participate in all polling questions, and complete the evaluation survey that will open in a separate browser after the presentation. And on the screen here are some of our latest recent research reports that we've released on our Member Center portal, just some of the latest and greatest. 1, 38 actions for rapid cost optimization and procurement. 2, how procurement can enable enterprise innovation. And 3, strengthening the procurement IT partnerships, just to give you an idea of some of the information that you have access to on the Member Center portal. And then here also are some of our upcoming events. Similar to this webcast today, we have several other webcasts coming up in Q3 and Q4, and then future events over here. And today's learning objectives, 1, learn how Europe's most efficient airport was affected by COVID-19 and how they adapted. 2, understand Copenhagen Airport's selection process when choosing an invoice-to-pay platform. 3, here are some of the challenges of implementing a digital invoice-to-pay platform. And 4th and finally, lessons learned from implementation. And I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to Chris Sawchuk to introduce our webcast for today.
Yeah, well, thank you, Alexa, and welcome everyone to our first Digital Transformation in Action webinar. What's interesting, with all of the intensifying and accelerating focus on digital, we felt it necessary to provide more ways to inform and expose our clients to various digital technologies in the marketplace through case examples. And today's example highlights Copenhagen Airport and their utilization of Tradeshift to transform their AP process. This series of webinars does not replace the monthly Hackett member webcasts, but augments them. So now onto our case. It is my pleasure to introduce Rasmus Borch Christensen. He's the former manager of finance projects at Copenhagen Airports. Rasmus has spent the last 18.5 years in the airport's business optimizing the AP processes and systems, and we'll be sharing insights into those experiences and results today. More recently, Rasmus' career with Copenhagen Airports was stopped unexpectedly due to the operational and financial crises related to COVID-19. So we are very happy he is still able to join us today and share his insights. So welcome, Rasmus.
Thank you, Christopher. And thank you for having me here in this webinar, the next 45, 50 minutes. I will try to tell the story about how we came along to choosing Tradeshift, and also how we managed to do an ERP strategy that allowed us to go cloud instead of on-premise. And of course, lessons learned and other stuff. Welcome to you all. just to place the Copenhagen Airport, Copenhagen is the capital of Denmark. It's a part of Scandinavia, Northern Europe. Copenhagen Airport is the airport. We are not a flight company or handling company or other stuff. These numbers is before COVID-19, but around 730 flights a day. We had around 80 to 100,000 passengers on average last year. And the busiest day last year, we had over 100,000 passengers traveling through Copenhagen airports. And security is a topic, and every day 5,000 airport employees also have to go through security check to serve passengers from around the world. Before COVID-19, we were actually well integrated in and could travel to around the world. Of course, Europe is the main part of routes, but also intercontinental. So well connected to all around the world with direct flight from Copenhagen, and of course back and forth from the destinations. When we make a presentation from Copenhagen Airport, we have some facts and figures, and I will not deep down into all of them, but it's nice to have to see what can an airport actually have a number. From when you go down to the middle, our top 5 destinations is London, Oslo, the capital of Norway, Stockholm, capital of Sweden, Amsterdam in Holland, and Paris. It's where the most passengers go. We have a great terminal area, shopping center. We have won prizes for the most efficient airport in Europe. We do a lot of climate efforts to reduce the CO2, a lot of solar panels, and so on and so on. When we talk to each other in the airport, we see ourselves as a little city. And in the airport, there's over 20,000 jobs before the COVID-19. But suddenly, this unexpected COVID-19 occurred. And when you're in airport in Denmark, you have to keep open during all periods to serve the traffic that's coming in, and also the traffic and cargo traffic that's going out. It's a critical infrastructure, and it's cost a lot of money. And of course, when you're in an airport, you're absolutely dependent on passengers that can travel or are allowed to travel, and also use all the facilities when you go into airport around the world, also in Copenhagen, like using the shopping center, eat at the restaurants, the shops, do some shopping to whatever, and other revenue-generated income. Of course, if you're local departing, we like you to park at the airport for a couple of days. Maybe also use the hotel we have in Copenhagen. Yes, now we have the poll. What impact has COVID-19 had on your business? And when you see on here WebEx, you can submit the poll question, and you can choose about the A, the B, and the C.
Yep, and the poll is open. I'll leave it open for a few more seconds. I see everyone. So there's a few more in progress. Some are finished.
Yes. Should I just continue here?
We'll give them another couple minutes, and then we can I'll close the poll, and then the results will pop up on the screen.
Okay.
I'll close it in 10 more seconds. If anyone has not started the poll, please go ahead and submit your answer. Okay.
Okay, I just move on from here.
Okay.
Yes, the COVID-19 effect so far has been tremendous challenge from the airport. We only see 20% of the passengers as compared to other airports as well. Large part of the terminals were closed. Shops, restaurants were only few to open. Of course, if there's no passengers, there's no turnover. And like myself, more than 400 to 600 people was getting laid off for 2 weeks ago, including myself, just to save money. And actually, we have tried to save and are up to save 126.6 million right now when I exit the airport business, and more will come, of course. And we also need to give and take the opportunity to have some club of banks that actually have lent us 0.8 billion to be able to continue to meet our financial and investment commitments, pay the suppliers, pay wages, and so on. And what the Danish government did for Copenhagen Airport was to partly compensate some lost income and also support package to pay wages to the employees. Thomas Wolby, CEO of Copenhagen Airport, has said that right now we had uncertainty, and to what extent the air traffic will return to normal, we are currently managing the operation on a much shorter time frame than usual. Mostly like it will be a while before we're back to pre-coronavirus levels. And if you look at the international newspaper, CNN, and so on, nobody actually knows. And of course, if you're a business, it's not how you like it to be. But yes, it infects us all. Then we have a new poll. You have a minute to answer as the last one. Were your supplier payments impacted by COVID-19? And please answer.
The poll has been open. I'll give it another couple of seconds and then we'll close the poll. As a quick reminder, if you are looking to get continuing professional education credits, you must participate in all of the polling questions. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes. Now we're down to what the WebEx is real about is how we see the procurement, operational procurement in CPH. We are not the largest company, but we have a fair part of suppliers, over 7,000. Half of them is active, and we have, you can see on the left, we have close to 2,000 suppliers that have been used in 2019. And when we use suppliers, we use purchase order on all purchase, PO on all purchase, and that's divided between around 25,000 purchase order, and in all purchase order, there could be one or more lines that sum up to 42,000. Of course, you make a purchase order, you received an invoice, and we had 48,000. We also have a spend related to the invoice of 2.7 billion, and an OPEX that is for daily operational cost. It was 36,000 invoices. All that is handled by only 3 AP agents. We have not scanning companies and so on. We are all digital. We do the AP work in the company on our own. And in 2019, there was 553 buyers or requisitioners that need some stuff. And it was placed mainly in one company code, and we have we have 2 company codes, but mainly one that handle most of the invoices. And for the procurement specialist, we are handling purchase order in 3 different types, and it's 2-way and 3-way matching, and then we have frame order, limit order as the last one. Yes, I hope you can see it clear, but to talk about a little bit into how is Tradeshift implemented and up against what. Sorry. We have here in the middle, we have the SAP SAP. That is our main ERP system that handle accounts receivable, fixed asset, and so on. Our landscape is much about that you get the transaction outside, and they are integrated into the SAP ECC core system. At the left, you see we have Tradeshift Pay that we will talk about from now on, and the implementation of that, going through the middleware MuleSoft integration and into this SAP ECC for the payments and reconciliation up against the supplier accounts, vendor accounts. So I will not go deep into one of every block here, but you can see there's a lot of SAP, there's a lot of other stuff that is cloud-based, and our SAP are mainly on-premise right now. So you got the feeling of the IT architecture we were working together and placed Tradeshift in. More, when you talk about the source to pay, we have chosen to have different systems that take the strategic sourcing and another system that take the operational part. We have drawn this circle, and on the left you see the sourcing circle that is right now handled by a system from GEP, another vendor that have been implemented some years ago, and it's a classic sourcing cycle. We have also introduced contract management, and it's also handled by GEP Smart. And then we have Tradeshift that take care of all the transaction where we have the purchase needed, we have purchase requisition that is right now based on SAP SRM and also SAP system. But we also have a catalog solution from Tradeshift on top of this. And this solution will be updated when the airport is ready for it. So, and we have the approvals, the purchase order creation. Approvals is before we issue the purchase order. We create the purchase order, and then we have the shipments, the goods come into the warehouse, and then we have the invoice handling where we use the Tradeshift system, all the control, the acceptance, and so on. And when it's approved with no exception at all, we use SAP to pay our suppliers and integrate it up with our bank that is called Danske Bank. What I'm taking with me here is that going deep with the invoice to pay, that when you go cloud, you need to have this integration in place and how you receive your invoices. And in Europe, we have something called Easy Trade. In Denmark, it's called Nemhandel. It's actually the same, but it's a network that you can send your invoices out to, and everybody has a special number that knows who you are, and then you are able to take it from the network down to Tradeshift. Tradeshift has an app to take care of that, and then this app called CloudScan. We're using CloudScan right now, and then you can correct if your supplier has not sent the right information and so on. There's also have firewall options, but in our case, we have fully electronic invoices, and we also have some invoices that have been sent via PDF with a unique email account that also go into CloudScan. Between Tradeshift and our backend ERP system, we have, let us see, close to 8 to 10 integration that feed master data, employees, goods received, finance posting back, POs, and changes vendor master data, and single sign-on. So that's quite standard. And if you look for this new cloud system, take care of and be aware of how you get your information to the cloud. If not, the cloud is the master, or you create the master data at the cloud. Yes, now it's time for a new poll. What is the most important benefit you would expect from an invoice to pay platform?
The poll is open. You should see the polling question on the slide. Okay, I'm going to give it another couple of seconds, and then we'll close the poll.
yes, these polls is actually great from a presenter point of view. Then you are able to get a sip of a glass of water or something. I will continue, and I hope you all took the poll here right in the WebEx. Yes, the big why. Why change the invoice to pay system? We had an old ERP, an invoice to pay system that was actually integrated deep down as a third-party software installed inside SAP. And it was heavily configured. Nobody actually knows 100% what has been triggered, configured, and we were not able to follow the old suppliers, the old IT vendor enhancements packs, support packs, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We also need a simplified core because as other SAP customer, our on-premise system is end of support in some couple of years. So we need to simplify this system, and to simplify it, it was a great idea to take some of it out of the ERP and take it into the cloud. Our old value chain here to support invoice to pay, we had a lot of IT suppliers for close to every steps. So if somebody went wrong, it was always you call different suppliers and said, is it you that can help us with this and that? So we need to find a supplier, IT vendor supplier that could have more of the value chain about the invoice to pay and support it. We also search for a standard P2P platform without modifications. So it's easier to run such a system, and Tradeshift could do that. And of course, we use this opportunity to make no PO, no pay 100%. And we actually did it. So why did Copenhagen Airport select Tradeshift as the new invoice to pay platform? We had some meetings, looked into the market, had some presentation and so on. And what we saw Tradeshift could deliver is superior interface to all these buyers. Remember the slide before where we have over 500 people every year that goes in to buy something, get an invoice if it's not compliant with the purchase order and so on. You also need to go cloud because the cloud has the opportunity to have better collaboration with all the stakeholders around the PO, invoice, and so on. We also need a supplier that have a roadmap and not satisfied where they are right now. What is very important for us when we look into the market, and still is that out there's so many digital invoice formats to handle. So we actually need an software provider that could understand and have it as a goal to support close to all digital invoice formats that have been used around the world. What's also important right now is that data is king, and all operations have one or more data warehouse, and what's better to have some invoice data, PO data, and so on, and bring it together with operational data to have the full view. And data in Tradeshift is not locked. It can be transported without any cost other than the time you're using to it, or of course integration if you need it more than just a quick deep down. when we saw ourselves with a lot of ideas, we have used this automatic invoice processing system for close to 15 years. I've been myself included. This is the third one I implemented in Copenhagen. It was important for us to be close to a development office to give something back. And yes, it's in Copenhagen where we are based, but it was just something that was good, but it was not the major part when we select Tradeshift. What is new to many and also new to us is that when you have Tradeshift as a platform, it enables you to use some apps like an iPhone. If you need Tradeshift to cover or partners to Tradeshift, you can really quick add-on functionality. I don't have some slides on that today. Reach out to Tradeshift, but you have spend analysis. You have environments that can go in and measure how good CO2 you are on that calculation, and a lot more exciting stuff. And that's pretty great that you have this kind of open platform that can give you more stuff. Yes. What we did in Copenhagen Airport is to update the ERP strategy master plan. We need a clear decision from the management that we could go both cloud and on-premise together. And back in 2017, it was decided that we could do that. A couple of months after, we began the project with Tradeshift. We made a statement of work. We look at our system and interface setup, and we also have a lot of meeting with Tradeshift before we, in the late 2018, did the sign-off of solution description. We were taking us time to understand Tradeshift, what mission and what can I say, what great idea they have seen from other customers of theirs of using the Tradeshift platform. What was the limit back then on Tradeshift? So we tried really to understand what Tradeshift could deliver and to what extent we should take the solution. And from we signed the solution description till we have tested, we only use 1 month. So you can see that we were impressed, and we need some time to understand what we were looking into and also plan all the great ideas that came up with Tradeshift in a partnership way before we have signed off the solution description. And after UAT sign off, and also in every project, remember to run a lot of tests. You need to do the documentation. You have to think about the corner cases, all that to have a easy go live. And after that, we have training, communication, cut over, and so on. And we have the end of hypercare support in late 2018. So, how it went after go live? What we did in Copenhagen Airport, we took all our suppliers at once, and when we did that, back then we faced some performance issue with the platform. We also saw some interfaces that were difficult to monitor. We haven't stressed it enough. As I said before, we used the opportunity to implement the principle of no PO, no pay. And to be honest, an organization is never ready to that. And we also, how can I say, make this trap for ourselves that we had no technical option to process invoice without a PO reference. We couldn't do it at all. We need to go all in on the principles. When we look at our folks in accounts payable, when we solve these different problems, we also need some more full-time employees to keep up with the incoming invoices. We closed the system some couple of weeks before we went on, go live. So we actually have around 1 month of work on day one, and that was too much. So we also reached out to get some extended support because we really test the system from the start. But what is also important is all your suppliers. We found out that the quality of the information on the invoices was very low. We also found out that this electronic format, OUBL, can be used in different ways and still be compliant with the format. So our learning curve was very steep, and it's hit us right in the head and on the screen back when we went live. But of course, go live, all suppliers on, all man to the engine. How it's to work with the platform today? Yes, right now it's all solved. It's corrected by Tradeshift, the performance issue, and our middleware also have a new interface monitoring. So we use close to no time of seeing that information goes well back and forth. After 2 months, there were PO on every purchase. And we have no need to change the no PO, no pay principles. What the procurement organization actually got at first hand was to test how close is our supplier to our company. And we got great surprises that some of the suppliers that we thought we were important and got good service and so on, suddenly we were not so important anymore and get called down if just a small amount was missing on their account and so on. So we got a new way and new information to see how important is Copenhagen Airport as a customer to our suppliers. Accounts payable, as I said before, temporary workers was hired, but they off again. But what is a really important takeaway here is that the AP team and the mindset of sitting in AP team is developed very fast now. And still, they need support. They need to see themselves in a new way, like a director for the invoice handling. Not just something that correct errors in the end, but it's more on the forefront of everything. Of course, suppliers also have a big part of it. The quality is still quite low, and we have some talk with Tradeshift on how to get information out of the system to go back to the supplier to update and correct so it's better. No major backlog of today. Of course, COVID-19 has done that there's less invoices than in normal business. We have made some KPIs measured every week to the management. How good are we? Are we up and running and so on? And we also need to get the suppliers in a future collaboration to use the Tradeshift platform instead of this easy trade network that is in Europe. And the sole issue here is to get invoice quality, so we are close to have no touch of invoice going through the controls and so on. So what we saw in the start, I'll not go down to every details here, is that when you have your system and the work is where things go wrong or just stop, you actually need to look into the integration part of where you get your data, where's the data created, where it's stopped, and number two, who can fix the issue. And then you have the stakeholder in the end. If you implement a system, it's very, very important that you think about if this and that goes wrong, who should correct it in which kind of time frame, and so on and so on. Try to play it. Try to think it as something you have to run before it's happened. We were not the best part of it, but we got better to it, and then the AP team knows who to contact if they have any problem at all. The current status and next step, yes, we have this platform processing a lot of invoices, a lot of active users. We have a great feedback from the users. Approval flow contains ongoing approval workflows is equal to 3 days. We are below 3 actually today to handle accounts payable. They have took into more assignment to the job, not only processing invoices, travel and expense as an example. And we also pay the suppliers on time. But it will not stop there. Of course, next steps, I'll be careful to promise your audience to what we are doing, because everything is quite on hold due to COVID-19. But what it's planned to do, and I cannot say when, is to continue to monitor performance and find the errors of further process improvement to actually save time and make the workflow more efficient. We still have SAP system for approval of POs. It can also be done if you are with Tradeshift today, I believe, or close to. We have a catalog solution with Tradeshift that we actually have bought and just wait to implement. So you get this better UI when you are a decentral buying organization. Onboarding is a key. We have not been the best, but we need to learn and be better to it. And today, you can actually have some benefit from your suppliers. They can log into the portal, can see the status, have a chat directly down to the invoice. It's go right to the man and woman that sits on the invoice that goes nowhere in your organization. It's a very good features that you can do and add on today at the Tradeshift platform. I also been lucky to to be very open about our project to the Tradeshift tech team and so on. And I have said that please call me if you like some code development. And after some weeks, they said, yes, come in and visit us, have a web meeting, webinar, and something. And what I'm trying to say here is that we have a very good relationship because we can learn from each other. Tradeshift and Tradeshift looking into a real life of handling invoices. And of course, next step, and you should do it, whatever cloud system, invoice to pay system you choose, you have to embrace and activate new technology into the process and hear from Tradeshift. It would save you time in the end. So the learnings we have here is that we used a statement of work, and if possible, make sure that you have this SLA in the contract so everybody knows what you are reaching after. If some functionality is important for you, if you go standard, you need to have it in the statement of work. Or else you need to change the process. You also need to be very specific when you think about the to-be process. You can make a brown paper analyzing. You need to go over and over again if you're not on top of your as-is that develops to be. So when you talk and think about the features you need your organization, my advice is, of course, you can have a statement of work, but it better be already at the platform, or maybe you just should have postponed it. So, and what is important is a reference visit to other customers that might use the same platform prior to the final selections. The learning is something that is equal to every system, but you just need it, and you need to remember testing. Don't forget testing, because that will save you for a lot of problems when you after go live. Interfaces, I have used a lot of time in this presentation to see if you go in cloud, you have a lot of interfaces. Be clever, be a specialist, and actually in Copenhagen Airport, we also used a new integration platform, MuleSoft from Salesforce, and that was quite a hassle to have a new invoice to pay system, new middleware. Don't do that. When you think about your supplier base, phased onboarding of suppliers, I will recommend today, not a big bang. And don't estimate the time when you contact the vendor, and they should understand where you're going as a customer to the vendor. You should also be prepared, build up the professional service now from Tradeshift, so they can support you when you have this problem or some questions and so on, so it's easy to reach. And of course, a normal support organization does not have the same level of knowledge as the people from the professional service at here Tradeshift that have configured and set up the system with you. And just general, be careful with your licenses in your ERP subsystem, because there could be changes when you take data out of it and import it. Yes, we are close to the last slide I have here from today. So what I'm trying to promote or tell you from from how we see it here from Copenhagen Airport is that Tradeshift has a unique down-to-earth culture that actually helps the project being delivered. To say I have worked with a lot of software vendors and so on, but Tradeshift have something positive going on that is actually fun to work with. Tradeshift also put the customer in focus, no matter how big and small customers, because they have seen that solve process challenge and introduce new ideas can benefit all customers. And as I said before, I was invited to some of the sprint that the developer has. Copenhagen Airport has only around 50,000 invoices a year. Other of Tradeshift customers has the same in 1 week. So if you have a great idea, you can get invited, and if you're lucky, some of the things your idea can be released in some of the quarterly releases. Tradeshift also staying very true to the roadmap. No matter how big or small a customer of Tradeshift you are, they are really staying true to the roadmap to have this stable platform that works for all their suppliers. You cannot do anything. They're really true to the roadmap. What we have seen is that Tradeshift actually shaking up the habits and way to work in the AP department. Our own AP department is surprised how much technology they have in their hands today and just wait to explore and so on. And of course, that Tradeshift also have seen new ways to process invoices, credit memos that only awaits Copenhagen airports to analyze on to benefit the whole workflow. So, seen from our perspective, it have worked efficient with both local teams and teams placed in other countries. It's a good culture Tradeshift have been going there. And as I also said, this give and take principle of customer focus that is a key pillar to Tradeshift. I can only sign that this is quite good. And if you are looking at Tradeshift, making use of this customer focus, say to them, I'm a customer and I need that focus. Roadmap, it's always fit to the broader vision, as I said before. And of course, the invoice to pay process, that this cloud system has surprised us. And of course, the AP team again and again need to have this coaching support mindset and get great benefits to improve the process for all the buyers and in our organization. So the future is a new Tradeshift catalog, and of course onboarding to get closer to your suppliers is where it headed from the Copenhagen airport. Yes. Now we are down to questions.
Yeah, well, thank you, Rasmus, and very much appreciated your insights into your experience of transforming the AP organization and certainly leveraging Tradeshift. Since we're pretty close to the top of the hour, I probably have time for one question. We've received several in the chat, but one of the ones that and it's just I just picked out one of the ones here, and as you look at it, and at the end of the day, the reason that we do a lot of this is really about the end user, the customer, the stakeholder, et cetera. How have you seen the stakeholder customer feedback change from where it was before to where it is today?
Yes, very good question. When we went live, we made the option that all the buyers could get education. Only around 1 25% was use this education option. So 80% of our suppliers has just opened the system and processed invoices. And it was a great surprise. Our former AP manager was in the cantina. Somebody came up and said, that was a great system from the finance area. Suddenly, something was easy to use. And as you saw in the presentation, that was one of the goals, that we actually want to select a system that was user-friendly with a nice user interface. So what it gets from the finance organization is that it's free sometimes to make better processes and not just take the old processes and make it more digital.
Right, right. Well, thank you. Thank you. And again, really appreciate your participating in our Digital Transformation in Action webinar series and sharing the insights in terms of your experience at Copenhagen Airport. We wish you all the best of luck going forward. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alexa to wrap us up.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Rasmus. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's webcast. As a quick reminder, when you exit the WebEx, the evaluation survey will appear in your browser. If you are looking to get the continuing professional education credit, you must complete that survey. Also, the recording from today and the presentation deck will be emailed as well as posted on our Member Center portal. And thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of the day.